Good morning, everyone. Jennifer Pagliaro is on the way to Adamson barbecue yesterday in Etobicoke, where owner Adam Skelly, making false claims about the severity of this pandemic, has vowed to open for inside dining at 11 a.m. The head of bylaw enforcement for the city tells me they are aware of the Instagram post, and they plan to attend. So this is how things set up. And she does a whole thread. I showed the replies, but I meant to show the thread. Anyway, she talks about how it'll be a test of the bylaw enforcement and blah, 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 blah. And here's CP24. City will investigate after Etobicoke restaurant owner threatens to open indoor dining amid the lockdown. And here is a patron outside yelling at the... I think that's a patron. I don't think that's the owner. He's talking to the media and telling them about how they won't say anything now that he's asked them about media censoring doctors talking about how this isn't the right move for the pandemic. Here's inside the restaurant. It's packed, busy with, there's some police officers, enforcement officers going in, and everybody's in there buying some barbecue, right? Some people were sitting down at the beginning of the clip, or I've seen video or images of people sitting down in the barbecue. There's another video of it, right? People are working, people are eating, people are happy to be free to do those things. Here's somebody else saying Adamson barbecue is hopping. No masks anywhere. Cops are issuing parking tickets, otherwise leaving people alone. Several Karens screaming about masks and COVID, which they're more afraid of than the communist takeover they fail or refuse to see. And, really, yep. Here is another picture of the gentleman. This is the owner in the middle here, and they've sold out of barbecue. It says barbecue sold out, freedom in surplus, and there's a thumbs up right. So that's good, and he plans on opening today. But the story does turn. Here's live. The post-millennial defiant owner of Toronto barbecue restaurant Adam Skelly has issued a closure order from Toronto Public Health, vows to reopen tomorrow. And here's the image, the closure. This establishment is closed by order of the public health, right? Here's this 680 news. In addition to breaking provincial lockdown measures, Toronto Public Health says the city is investigating whether Adamson Barbecue is operating under an official business license. It's very, they're not only going to punish him, they're going to try and make an example of him. I hope he's ready. Sometimes I see things and I think, man, they must have a plan. They must have thought this through. And sometimes yes, and sometimes no. And I very much hope that there are people who are willing to stand with this guy. I very much hope this single voice turns into a chorus. There were a lot of people there showing support. Randy Hillier tweeted out, "We will be there to help. NoMoreLockdowns.org, and he will not stand alone." So that's good. Here's a police chief being interviewed afterwards. Now, people were wondering why police weren't enforcing, and the media here were questioning why police weren't enforcing. And at the end of this little interview, he mentions why. A miscommunication, he says, and I guess they'll be issuing tickets today, I suppose. But here's the end of this interview. Link is in the description if you want to check it out.
Should the people inside the restaurant have been fined today too, or is that your business?
That certainly is our business. They could face fines for that. However, again, we would encourage people inside the premise to leave, inform them, and then reiterate the act. If they refuse to leave, then we would undertake the enforcement actions.
And that should have happened today?
We could have done that this morning. It was not done through a misunderstanding, but we've clarified that, and we'll make sure all of our members and all of our officers are better prepared to deal with this going forward.
So that would mean...
At the beginning, he's asked, are you were enforcing? Is this not your business to enforce things inside? And he says, no, yeah, it's our business. No, it's not. You were right the first time. No at all. Not at all. No at all. Not at all. And it's very, very interesting what's going to happen. So do they have legal standing to issue these tickets? Probably. Are these tickets going to stand up in court? Probably. Do we have a duty to take the tickets? Martin Luther King was saying that disobeying an unjust law is the responsibility. You take the fine, you take the punishment, you spend time in jail or whatever to highlight the injustice. So there's an interview on Meet the Press, I think it is, and he talks at length about that. And I think that it's very interesting. We're in a situation where the police are enforcing strict measures on people who want to open their businesses. And then he talks at the beginning of this where he says, they can bring it to it's our job to enforce the law and compliance and blah, blah, blah. And then they bring that ticket to the court, and then the judge can issue the amount of the fine or whatever. So we're in a very dangerous situation. There are a lot of people who are not looking at the statistics, the numbers, the fact that a large majority, and somebody was telling me that the CTV national news numbers were wrong and that the real number is, it's only 65%. And I've seen that number on the Ontario.ca website. I don't know what the source for the CTV national news, what they were using. I've seen the 63 or 65% deaths in long-term care homes, but I don't know how CTV News came to their conclusion of the numbers that they came to. But they did report it, and usually news does their due diligence, so it's connected to the long-term care homes somehow, I suppose. But I don't know. But somebody was telling me that my numbers were wrong there. Regardless, I think we're in a dangerous situation where government is using resources to close businesses for your safety. It kind of reminds me of this clip. I'll show you. Hold on. This is a clip of a guy being, this is what the Toronto police and politicians are doing to the Toronto and Ontario economy. The Toronto and Ontario economy will be played by the guy in the red t-shirt, and the draconian leadership, Doug Ford and John Tory and group, are going to be played by this guy in the white and black. Okay, the white shirt and the black pants. Here we go. This is for your safety. He chokes him out, drops him on the ground, and drags him out. Can you imagine if this was your son or your daughter or like your buddy, right? Your buddy who was daring to be in there. He gets choked out, dropped on the floor like a rag doll, and then carried out. Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. This is for your safety, citizen. We are going to crush your business. We're going to investigate. We're going to speculate in the newspaper that you're running without a business license. We're going to destroy your reputation and make sure that people see you as the pariah you are while we drag you out the door. Unbelievable. This is where we live. This is what's happening. This is Toronto. NDP going hard after Ford Nation government for keeping Walmarts open and not small biz, saying Walmart hired lobbyists and PC party insiders. House Leader Paul Calandra says that these were the same measures put in place during the first wave to protect health and safety. They are trying to get Walmart to cover the non-essential items, to say that's going to level the playing field, instead of playing to the idea that if you can go into a Walmart, you can go into another business. If you can go into a Costco, which is operating down the street from Adamson's barbecue, if you can go into a Costco and get, like a hot dog and a drink, you can't go in there and have a seat? You could do that at Costco. And I don't know if there's sit-down dining in Costco. This is the point. Sit-down dining was the problem, right? Maybe in Costco, they're selling the hot dogs and they have to go sit in their car. But you know what? What's the difference? What's the difference between putting a mask on when you enter the facility and then you take it off? If you're in if you're in a room with a deadly virus, if you're in the room with Ebola, you're not like, hold on, I got to get my mask on now. I'm at the table with Ebola, walking from there to here. I'm fine. I'm not close to Ebola. But now here, right? Like the mask, the tiny little mask isn't going to help you. If you've got they have entire spacesuits, hazmat suits for this. The mask is going to help you while you're ordering your food, and then you take it off and then, right? Eating. I mean, honestly, humans are humans and masks don't work. It's just ridiculous. So we're in a situation where the enforcement is they're trying to cover these non-essential items for. They're not doing this yet. And Ford has said twice that he doesn't want to do this, and that's been in the newspaper. I think it's a pantomime. I think before Christmas, he's going to relent and say, oh, you know what, you're right, the small retailers, blah, blah, blah. Fair would be letting the small retailers open. And it's interesting that the NDP are pushing for this, right? I don't know. I don't know how long common sense is going to last, right? The PCs seem to be, they don't care. They're going to crush this business. They're going to let John Tory crush this business. It's going to be ridiculous. And I hope that more businesses stand up and say, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. And yeah, I hope more businesses stand up, and I hope they do it soon. And everything is at stake. I think that I don't think that this guy wants to be a hero. Okay, I want to mention this. I don't think that the owner of Adamson's barbecue wants to be a hero. I think that there's no other choice. I think that he's looking at the end of his business if he suffers another 28 days of lockdown, of closures, of whatever. It's not worth running the business. I don't think that he's a freedom. No, that's not true. He is a freedom fighter and he's a hero for doing what he's doing. But I don't think that I think exceptional people don't view themselves as special. I don't think that he sees what he's doing as special. I don't think that he sees what he's doing as something that is leadership or anything like that. I think that he sees it as either I do this or my business dies, so I have to do this. There's no choice. It's not a well, I guess I could, eke it out. I guess maybe it could continue. I don't think that that's accurate. I think that at some point you get backed into a corner and say, I don't think they're going to stop. Compliance doesn't mean that they'll lighten up, right? Like the masks, everybody complied. And now we're on lockdowns in Toronto. Everybody complied. I'm the only one who goes out without a mask. I'm the only one, right? I go out and everybody's giving me 6 feet. Great. 6 feet works, right? Whatever. Sure. Believe what you want. But you can't say, somebody told me the other day, because I said, the flu's disappeared. She was like, I know, that's wild, right? She said, because we're washing our hands so well and covering our faces with masks. And I said, yeah, isn't it odd that so many cases of COVID are happening then? She's like, well, people aren't following the rules. I was like, oh, okay. How do you argue with that? Yeah, it's like a hydra, right? You cut off one head. There's no flu. But people are following the rules. Oh, right. You can't do anything. There's no argument that this is going to make sense. And if you know who Yuri Bazmarov is or whatever, you know that the people who believe in this are gone. There's no arguing your way back. You can't show them black is black, white is white, and prove it to them. They're not going to believe you. They're going to give you a reason why you're wrong, right? You're wrong, right-wing conspiracy theorist. We'll get there too, because they're talking about that in the news. How dare you talk about the Great Reset and Justin Trudeau? What they're doing is keyword stuffing, right? So they want that Great Reset Justin Trudeau video as far down the Google results as it can be. So they're putting a whole bunch of articles talking about it up to debunk it or whatever they want to call it. Vasi Kapolis says, live now, PNPCBC, new restrictions in Alberta. No indoor social gatherings, limits on weddings and funerals, new limits to gatherings in limits of worship. It's the same everywhere. You have to question why. All the deaths are in Quebec and Ontario long-term care. So why are they locking down Alberta? Why are they? Well, I'll get to Nova Scotia and Newfoundland too. Jason Kenney said, if you're holding indoor social events, they're now illegal. What counts as an indoor social event? What counts, right? Is your family coming over a social event? I mean, sometimes it's a stressful event, but is it a social event, right? It's not cards. You're not playing cards. Everybody's sitting there having a look at each other, discussing current events. Oh, did you just get there? Yeah, there's a reason they don't want these things happening, because you're going to sit there and say, this is bullshit, isn't it? And then your aunt or uncle is going to say, well, whatever. And then you're going to say, yeah, where did the flu go? And they're going to say, because everybody's doing such a good job. And then you say, where's COVID coming from then? Sorry, I'm a little bit theatrical today. Anyway, it says there's also a snitch line, even though Jason Kenney denied its existence, and you can be prosecuted for up to $100,000 for a first offense if a friend comes over. This is a police state action. Look at this. This is wild. Enforcement, if you violate a public health order, you may be subject to a $1,000 fine. Additionally, you can be prosecuted for up to $100,000 for a first offense. If you're concerned someone is not following public health orders, you can remind them that not following orders is against the law and puts people at risk. So they're loading people with propaganda already. And submit a complaint to AHS public health inspectors online or call 1-833-415-9179. Snitch lines. Tell us about your neighbor who's having friends over. Does Christmas count as a social event? It counts as a religious event. Forget about it. Just make it a Black Lives Matter rally, okay? That's it. Merry Christmas, everyone. Black Lives Matter, right? Black Lives Matter. Merry Christmas. Peter McCaffrey says, so under which law are the social gatherings on private property now banned? Is the Public Health Emergency Powers Amendment Act, which the government has recently said was overreach and promised to repeal? Or will there be new legislation, as the health minister promised would happen in the future? We're going to be removing those powers that the ministers have during a public health emergency and leaving it for legislation to be amended by the legislature as it should be. Here's an article to back that up. Spoiler alert, all of that's gone out the window. We're now in post-national state. And everybody's got to be happy about it. And if you're not happy about it, you're a right-wing, white supremacist Nazi who likes barbecue, right? And if you're not an RCMP toady, RCMP investigates after church service held in violation of COVID-19 restrictions. Those religious people, are they Mennonites? Get Nicola Mercer on them. They're not Mennonites, but they're well, here's the article. I'm not going to go through it, but religious leader believes current health order is infringement upon charter rights. You can read the article for yourself if you like. He's overall, I think people should be able to assess their risk for themselves. Being fined for attending church or being fined for running a church doesn't mean we're in a pandemic, right? It just doesn't mean we're in a pandemic. Having the government say you have to do these things or you're going to be fined doesn't give me exactly a lot of confidence in my government's ability to do anything. We're like 9 months into this pandemic, and the only response we have is the one exactly the same as we did at the beginning of the pandemic when we knew nothing, and we have to lock everybody down. And like, if 6 feet and masks work, why do we have to lock down businesses? How does that even work? Where did the flu go? Why are false tests, why are the PCR cycles so high? Why are no politicians willing to answer these questions? Why are the news media not demanding the answers to these questions? Why are we willing to give our rights away? Why are we willing to surrender our rights to public health officers or public health orders, to frameworks that don't make any sense at all? It's all based on cases. It's garbage. It's a lie. It's a lie. So I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do, right? Stephen Mayer is responding to this tweet from Mr. Dalla. Sorry if I've got that wrong. He's the vice president and general internist, associate professor at U of T Medicine. And he says, the Restaurant Association of Nova Scotia is calling for all restaurants and bars in Halifax to close indoor dining for 2 weeks or more. Where's the evidence that backs this up? Where are the business leaders saying, no? This is the Restaurant Association of Nova Scotia. They're business leaders. They're saying we should probably close. Why? Stephen Mayer says we are at a bit of a tipping point. So it does make sense to take at least 2 weeks to just kind of reset and get back to where we've been. We've been very fortunate in the Atlantic bubble, and it'd be nice to go back to that as soon as possible. Lies. They're lying. They're lying. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. 9 months later, now we have to cover non-essential items because we wouldn't tolerate that 8 months ago. But now apparently we'll tolerate that. Now apparently we'll tolerate 28 days instead of a 14-day with no scientific backing at all. What is the point? What is the purpose? What's the plan after 28 days? Why doesn't Doug Ford have a plan after 28 days? This is unbelievable. FYI, just in case you were wondering, the Ontario government told reporters this morning that yesterday's number, so this is 2 days ago now, so-called record number of COVID-19 cases coming on the first day of Peel and Toronto lockdowns was an overestimate due to technical issue. Information we could have used yesterday. Oh well, shucks. We just overestimated that record day. So, nuts. It's okay, another 28-day lockdown will fix that right up. Right? These vaccines, says Doug Ford, will be absolutely critical, and we're working with the federal government to get timelines on when Ontario will receive our shipments. In the meantime, it's up to us to do what it takes to protect our hospitals, our schools, and our long-term care homes. The thing is there, Doug, all of the deaths are in long-term care homes. You didn't do anything about that, meaning you didn't give them any treatments, viable treatments. Locking down healthy people doesn't protect long-term care homes. It doesn't do a darn thing. People in long-term care homes aren't out shopping or socializing or dancing or protesting at Queen's Park to be yahoos. So all of your rhetoric is trash, sir. All of your rhetoric is garbage. It doesn't make any sense. It's very, very concerning that the only path after 9 months and masks and 6 feet apart, social distancing, all of this stuff, despite Black Lives Matter protests, despite massive protests through the summer, despite people getting together through the summer, all of this stuff, they're trying to close Christmas. They're trying to stop holidays. They're trying to force vaccinations for travel, trying to force vaccinations for even probably access soon, access to grocery stores, etc. You have to do this. So it says, here's one of the vaccines. CV Vax admits can't stop transmission, only reduces symptoms, but symptoms after the first shot are so severe, doctors fear people won't get the second shot. While 80% testing positive for COVID doesn't know they have it because the symptoms are so mild. What are we doing? I know what we're doing, but why is there nobody questioning it? It's just wild. Lawyers are now beginning to uncover massive international money laundering and bribery scheme involving California Governor Newsom, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, according to high-powered attorney who has seen the evidence. Governors of multiple states wired hundreds of millions of dollars to communist China to allegedly purchase COVID supplies, but it was all a massive money laundering, kickbacks, and bribery scheme that saw money transferred to the family members and business entities of the corrupt U.S. governors, according to the sources. I wanted to look at what kind of historical business dealings. And I tagged Greg in this, but I haven't heard back. But that's okay. I mean, he's a busy guy. But I tagged Greg in this because I thought he does a better job digging. What kind of, like, we have the carbon trade thing. Hold on, what was it called? Carbon cap and trade with California, right? The Quebec, Ontario, and California had the carbon cap and trade. It was the green energy deal. Did they just transfer the scheme? It's a little bit of a shell game. They just changed the green energy deal to the COVID energy deal, and they had a little bit more product, but it's all the same thing, right? Like you buy on paper 100,000 masks, but in reality you get 100 masks, right? And then all that money's gone, and you've got your masks. And where did they go? Oh man, well, some of them weren't good. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So where did all that money go, right? Here's the Toronto Star. Family involved in theft of $11 million of COVID relief funds, Ontario government claims. Oh my goodness, fraud? International fraud of $11 million? International money laundering and bribery? Is it just China and the US, or is there other places involved? A Toronto couple and their 2 adult sons, who all work as Ontario government computer specialists, are alleged to have been involved in the theft of more than $11 million in COVID-19 relief funds, the Star has learned. Somebody's got to connect the dots on this. There are dots to connect. Dramatic today. I'm sorry, I'm singing. Patty Haydu. No one saw COVID-19 coming when I was sworn in as Canada's health minister last November. It's been a difficult year for Canadians, but I've been inspired by the kindness and immense effort people have shown to keep each other safe. Patty Haydu, this is 8 months ago in January, where she's saying that the WHO, the health minister says WHO health emergency does not change Canada's risk level. Don't be racist. Don't be racist. Come on. Come on, man. Justin Trudeau is lying about why Canada is delayed getting vaccines. He says, sorry, I think that stands on its own. Patty Haydu, maybe nobody was mentioning COVID-19 when she was sworn in, but they were certainly mentioning it like days after. And there were people in China with it in like September and October. And everybody pretty much knows that. And everything that you've done has been wrong. You're a graphic artist. And claiming something now that we can easily look up and verify doesn't work. Like claiming, oh, well, nobody could have seen this coming. We did see it coming. We asked you to close the borders. You still haven't done that. We asked you to mandate masks or talk about masks or get PPE back when this whole thing was, when nobody knew what anything was happening, and the mask debate was really not a debate. Everybody agreed masks should not be worn by healthy people. So it's very interesting how poorly this has been managed through the width and breadth of this crisis, and to have people like celebrating Patty Haydu's ineptitude. Like, she's just been awful. She's been awful. Awful. Like, if you were trying to put somebody in there who was bad at their job, who was completely inept, then Justin Trudeau couldn't have picked a better candidate. But if you wanted somebody who was capable of doing the job of health minister, fail. Okay, moving on. Justin Trudeau is lying about why Canada is delayed getting vaccines. He says one of the things to remember is Canada no longer has any domestic production capacity for vaccines. Didn't we just give, like last month, $173 million? Yeah, $173 million, actually $214 million that turned into $173 million in the next article, I believe. So that's weird. Is that like the we thing? Yeah, $173 million. And it's the same people. Media Cago. I'll read it, but I think that it's like, how is this part of the international money laundering thing? What happened to all this money? Like, we don't have, hold on, here's the article. CTV News, Quebec company, which is a local Canadian company that can make vaccines, that grows vaccines with plans to get lion's share of $214 million federal fund. Okay, so this is Media, where does it say? Media Grow. Hold on, let me find it. Okay, so there it is, 76 million doses of Media Cago's vaccine. Okay, and then fast forward, Media Cago, 173 million to Media Cago. Media Cago is developing the vaccine in partnership with the British drug company GlaxoSmithKline. The two companies have said its preclinical trial shows the vaccine demonstrated high level of neutralizing antibodies following a single dose. If the vaccine also performs well in a clinical setting, the companies are on track to make it available in the first half of 2021. Media Cago has said that it has the manufacturing capacity to produce as many as 100 million doses in 2021. Like, where are they producing it? Is Media Cago, they don't produce the vaccine, but that's what they said. That's what they said in this article. Production company, right? They grow vaccines with plants. So it's very, very strange now for Justin Trudeau to be saying that we don't have any local or domestic production. And Amir Atran, who's a professor at the University of Ottawa, he says, we have production capacity. Let me explain. He says our National Research Council in Montreal has the facilities to make virus-based vaccines like the Oxford AstraZeneca one. In fact, NRC last year was the world's first lab to deploy a vaccine using this technology. That was for rabies. Since the summer, I have told the Liberals repeatedly that they could make the AstraZeneca vaccine in NRC's Montreal lab, but the Trudeau government never listened. AstraZeneca is totally open to that kind of partnership. I'll give some examples. And he goes through examples where they partnered with local places to grow their own vaccine. Now, again, I think that you should have a right to refuse vaccine. I think that the numbers don't justify any of these measures at all, period. But I want to show you what's happening, what people are talking about. So 1 minute we're giving $200 odd million to a company. The next minute it's 173 million actually. And now where's that money gone? Because we don't have any local production capability. I don't know. Gone. Just gone. Poof. Gone. Right? Spencer Fernando says after Trudeau claimed Canada would be first in line, it turns out Mexico, Germany, the United States, the United Kingdom, and more will likely roll out vaccines first. I have to say, and this guy's asking the same thing, Greg Towers says, what happened to the 173 million, 214 million? To Quebec-based biotechnology company Medicago, Trudeau announced a deal for as many as 76 million doses, blah, blah, blah. Same thing. I already showed you. Government has, so, I mean, I have my skeptical pants on again, you know? Where did it all go? Where did it all go? National Post, government has the right to keep info from MPs. Top civil servant tells committee probing We Charity. The We documents are back on the table? Dion got some unredacted We documents? This is new. I mean, I didn't expect this. It's a little Christmas present, but I don't think it'll be enough. Federal Ethics Commission's Mario Dion said he's received thousands of pages of wholly unredacted government documents related to the We Charity scandal as he investigates the matter for conflict of interest. Dion made his remarks on Tuesday to the House of Commons Finance Committee, which has been trying to get access to a similar trove of unredacted We documents, but the committee also heard from Privy Council clerk Ian Shugart, who told them that the government has the right to withhold certain information from MPs whether they like it or not. Scroll down a bit. Conservative MP Pierre Poilievre asked Dion whether they had both received the same documents. Quote, we didn't try to compare what we received with what the committee had received, so I'm in no position to compare, but we seem to have received slightly more pages, Dion said. Poilievre asked Dion to compare the two document troves, suspecting that the government may have held back some documents from the committee. Dion, however, said that might be too taxing on his staff and could delay his ability to get the investigation done. Seriously? Back to this. Maybe, COVID-19 couldn't possibly do that. Couldn't do our jobs. Back to this. Maybe we asked for a much wider set of documents, and that could explain the discrepancy, said Dion. I'm pretty sure that the committee asked for all the documents related to everything having to do with everything, and then the people who were supposed to give over the documents deleted them, and the Liberals went, oh, shucks, and then nothing happened. Commentary. This is a conspiracy theory, says Global News, apparently hiding in plain sight, and Trudeau's critics say they're completely within their rights to question what he means by a reset and a reimagined economic system, Mike Smythe says, and Laurie Goldstein responds, in his own words, statement from Justin Trudeau on June 20th, 20, cites the Great Reset initiative 3 times, as well as financing for it to build back stronger, more resilient, and greener economies coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic recession. And he cites my Tuesday Toronto Sun column, Trudeau's a globalist who clearly supports the Great Reset initiative of the World Economic Forum. He's never made a secret of it, and criticizing him for it doesn't make you part of a right-wing conspiracy. Correction, June 11th, 20. So, isn't that weird? Isn't that weird that Global News is trying to tell you what this does is this gives people the script they need to dismiss people who tell them the truth, right? Don't listen to the truth. The Great Reset, that's a conspiracy theory. They couldn't possibly do that. Who could coordinate like that? And then you look into BYG or BGY, I can't remember which one it is, and that they were using that to target the Vice President of the United States' son to get leverage on the Vice President of the United States, who's now the President-elect. Right? Starting transition, right? If you're following that. I still say that if Trump is not inaugurated on January 20th, something went wrong. I think that we're still in the opening movements of this game. And I think like this part of this game, and I think we're at the end game now. This is the important one, right? They've got all their pieces in play and in motion, and everything's happening that's happening. And this game, this one, because Trump still has ammunition, and I don't think that the other side does, right? The other side is just hoping that declaring their win. Sorry that I'm going off on the Americans right now, but I'm almost done. So I think that Biden declaring the win and threats of further unrest if the Supreme Court declares Trump the winner. I think that's what they've got. I think that that's all they've got. And I've been surprised before by their resources, right? But I think Trump's got 6 states at least that are very seriously compromised with their election results. Between Philadelphia and Michigan, Arizona and Nevada, I think there's serious questions. And for Georgia is another one. Georgia's a bigger deal than any of the other ones, I think, or being litigated first. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I think that there's a lot more room still. And by the opening stages of this game, I mean, like, imagining a chess game and imagining everybody's still got their pawns, right? So you're in the opening stages. A couple of things may be in play, but we haven't seen the big battles yet, and we will. That's coming. So I think that it's interesting that the Great Reset and all of that is happening simultaneously to Biden's presumed win, Biden marching forward with the transition team and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. There's going to be lots happening. So the battles are still to come. Should be interesting. And I've seen lots of people saying on Twitter, like, Trump's done or blah, 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 blah. Again, I haven't seen anything meaningfully different than the last couple of days. In fact, I think that Powell's going to be doing her lawsuit today, or it might be tomorrow, or it might be Friday, I guess, because tomorrow's Thanksgiving. But it'll be interesting if it's done today. If it's done today and there's Thanksgiving tomorrow, lots of conversations taking place, which they want to stop. Very interesting. Here's Marissa, and she says, I'm talking to a couple of well-connected business leaders, politicians in Canada. They're trusted friends of mine. In their conservative circles, people are starting to question whether Trudeau was fairly elected. We know Elections Canada wasn't 100%. Real concerns, I'm hearing. I don't know that anything's going to happen. Not, like I said yesterday, not unless Trump wins. And if Trump wins and he investigates Dominion and he finds that Dominion and has anything to do with communist China, and I mean, there's indications, right? There's certainly indications that you don't build a system like Dominion to have it sit there idle. He knew they were going to do this. He put them in position so they could do this. And he was ready to, this was part of it. I think this is the plan. So, hey man, who knows? I could be wrong. But if that all happens, if that unwinds, that's gonna have impact in Canada. But if that doesn't happen, if that doesn't unwind, then enjoy being ruled over, because that's what's going to happen. Like there's no recourse. You can't win a rigged election, right? You just can't. Here's House of Commons staffer. Another month. At this speed, Marwan Tabera will have his government pension before he's convicted. So they just keep kicking his court date down the road. Can you imagine being assaulted by this guy and just watching him just get away with it and continue governing? My goodness. This is British. There was a woman who was protesting out front of the House of Commons, and this MP is very angry. He demanded Boris Johnson and other high-level people return to the House of Lords that day and like answer for this, basically. Like, this is un-British. He said, this is not our democracy. We have a right to protest. We have a right to free speech. So yeah, he's livid. Very interesting to watch. Trudeau was pranked by some Russian YouTubers posing as Greta Thunberg. I mean, that's good. How do you get that phone number, man? That's great. Those Russians, wily. Very, very interesting. And yeah, I was going to end on this. This is a Nevada judge. Hearing election challenge filed by Trump electors has a set hearing for 12/3, so December 3rd at 1:30 p.m. local. Will allow 15 depositions for each side between now and then. Attorney is Sidney Powell's co-counsel in the Flynn case. Very interesting, right? There's lots of the battles that are to come, and if you're watching Trump's lawyers, or if you're watching any of the legal wrangling over this, the Democrats don't want to talk about the count. They don't want to talk about anything. They've won, and they're moving on, and they want you to move on too. And the reality is there are places that haven't certified some election results. There are states that are in question. There are massive voter fraud questions, and there are legal challenges that are going to go to the Supreme Court. So you can declare victory, but it's a hollow declaration. I don't know. We'll see. If like I said, if the Supreme Court declares Biden the winner, I'd love to see their rationale. If Biden is inaugurated in January, I'll be very surprised. But it might happen. Who knows? But I think Trump will win. I think he'll surprise people. And because I've been hearing for 4 years, since 2016, since before 2016, he can't win. He's not going to win. When he did win, he's going to be impeached. He's going to be removed from office. He's going to be, what was the other one? Oh, there was all sorts of things. I think I probably was the one who said they're going to try and kill him. They're going to assassinate him. I think all of those things have happened. I think that, and I don't know that we've heard of any assassination attempts that have been like somebody shot Reagan, right? The bullet in the stomach, right? Not like that. But I think that there have probably been attempts, right? And I think that's true of most U.S. presidents, though, right? Like the Canadian person who is coming across the U.S. border, I wouldn't say that's an assassination attempt. But there are some very unbalanced people. So yeah, I don't know. I've been hearing for 4 years that Trump has been out, down and out, couldn't possibly win, and then 4 years later he's still tap dancing, and everybody else seems like they're not quite caught up. So I think that if he's been ahead of the curve for most of his tenure as president, I can't imagine that he was looking at this and thought, yeah, they're definitely going to give me a fair election and I'm going to win or lose, and I'll definitely accept whatever happens. I don't think so. I think he saw that they were going to try and steal it. I think that he let them do it, and I think he tried to trap them, and I think he did it. And I think that he's going to show us that he did it, and he's going to show us in a way that is procedural, is by the book, and airtight. And I think that that's the only way to do it. I think this is all part of the plan. So that's enough of me. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out CanadaPoly.com. Check out CanadaReport.co. Check out SpeakingMoistly.co, and have a wonderful, wonderful